just slightly north and east of UT. And we're a small college of about...
Oh, you said that name.
We're a small college of about 700 students, and we're affiliated with the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod.
Okay. And Dr. Mack?
Yes, Houston-Tillotson is located east of downtown Austin, about 1 mile from downtown, between 7th and 11th Streets on Chicon, and we are the oldest institution in the city with roots that date back to about 1875. Our roots are also from the historic church connections of the Congregational Church, now known as the United Church of Christ, and the Methodist Episcopal Church, now known as the United Methodist Church.
Now, I didn't know that Houston-Tillotson was the oldest institute of higher learning here. One of the things that I wanted us to talk about today is that these are all private universities and colleges, and students in and around Austin may or may not know who you are and what it would mean to go to a private college versus to go to that big place down the road where 10% of the population of Austin congregates. So maybe, Lawrence, if you could tell us, what do you think is the advantage for a student coming to, say, Concordia?
Well, I think probably true of all of us is that we offer the small classes, we offer the care to the students, the one-on-one relationship with students. The students get a chance to be with real profs and not have to spend so much time with TAs and things like that. But I think it's the spiritual environment that we provide. Students today live in a very complex society, and the world is getting more complex all the time. And I think that when they have a college that can nurture them spiritually, that can attend to their social needs, that we can give them something that other schools cannot.
Did either one of you want to add to that? Or
I agree with everything he said, of course, and I think that one of the real values is that we allow the students in this context that you've described, in this context of personal attention and the values clarification invitation, to investigate a lot of really hard questions and come up with their own answers. You know, we free them to ask questions, not just to think because we have told them to think in certain ways, but really to be problem solvers and to deal with issues. And also, I think that we offer them a chance, and in fact, we insist upon, really, that when they graduate from St. Edward's, that they have a mission to do something to pay back.
oh, that's interesting.
I'll simply add to that, in addition to the caring environment, which is rather typical of a small community, the emphasis on campus community, an emphasis on service and involvement in the surrounding community, and an emphasis on preparing for a life of service would be one of the characteristics which I think distinguishes each of our institutions.
Very definitely.
And you think that's probably related in the religious kind of undertow for the universities and colleges? Is that a part of the original mission coming forward?
I think that is a part of what distinguishes a church-related college in the late 20th century. It's not so much about required chapel or about a pastor, president, or about faculty members who are all a part of the order of the faith, but it's more about the broader Christian values of preparing persons for service, about quality in their life, about integrity, about human dignity. That is a part of the curriculum, a part of campus life, and a part of the values which most members of the faculty and staff bring to the community.
Right.
Give our students a multicultural, multi-spiritual, multi-racial kind of environment. And so while our faculty is predominantly Lutheran, we find that our student body is very heterogeneous.
Is that by design that the faculty is mostly Lutheran? Or?
Yes, for the most part it is. We are owned and operated by the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, and so there are some limitations placed on faculty, but yet we feel like there's still ample freedom of expression and academic freedom as well.
Marcia?
I got so interested in what he was saying, I almost forgot the original question.
Well, the original question.
No, I know.
Is everybody a Catholic?
No, not at all. In fact, we also, probably at most, we would have 50% Catholic students. And I do exit interviews with each of the students who graduates with a degree from the School of Humanities. And just the other day, a student was talking to me, and I say things like, what was good that we did? You know, what do you think we could improve? And he said, I just want to say, as someone who doesn't follow any particular faith, how wonderful it was that I got to disagree with my teachers and I got to have a totally different opinion and express it strongly, and no one cared, and there was such an open-minded attitude toward the search, you know, the spirit of inquiry. So I was glad to hear that, because that really is part of our mission, to be open to all beliefs, you know, and while values are very much in the foundation of it. So
Well,
that was fun to hear.
Dr. Mack, sometimes people will say that if you go to a small college, you're forfeiting academic excellence. I know you would strongly disagree with that. So how would you say Huston-Tillotson counteracts that?
Well, on the contrary, the emphasis on excellence, on quality, is the foundation of our academic program. Although related to the United Methodist Church and the United Church of Christ, similarly, the majority of our students are members of neither denomination. We have a significant presence of Methodist students, but we also have AMEs, CMEs, AME Zions. In addition to members of the United Church of Christ, we have a strong presence of Catholic students. But the majority of our students are Baptists, and a significant presence of Muslim students. And as our enrollment of Asian students grows, we have a growing number of Buddhists. So the kind of emphasis on a multi-faith community, a multicultural community, a multi-ethnic community, I think is rather typical of each of our institutions. But the emphasis on quality in education is what I think undergirds our program. And with an emphasis on providing an environment where faith and learning and issues of those of faith and learning can be addressed in the academic community in a non-proselytizing way, in an open way, I think is what makes the educational environment work.
In many ways, it's a very big plus to be right near the big university, because children, people at this point in their life many times like to have the big social experience of the football games, and but also having access to libraries, to labs, and for faculty growth too. I remember when I was working on my doctorate years ago, I would teach a class, run down there and take a class, come back and teach a class, and so that provides all kinds of opportunities for both faculty and students to have personal and professional growth at the big university.
So it has a kind of symbiotic
It really does.
feel for
Yes.
the smaller colleges.
It really
Is
does.
there much interaction for St. Ed's with UT students? Do you find students? I guess one of the things that interests me is at the University of Texas, you can't have, quote, religious classes. And I'm wondering, those people who may want them, where do they go?
I think there is a lot of interaction. I know that of course, we get a lot of transfer students from UT, and our own students also participate in various groups, clubs that UT has. There's a student, the Newman Club, also on the UT campus, and we have done some coordinated events. Different ones of our academic areas work together, so our theater program works together with the UT theater program. Our communication program, we work together with faculty there in a lot of different ways. So it's really a nice arrangement, I think, for both of us. A lot of our students have auditioned to be in the master's and doctoral students projects at UT, acting projects, and that really gives them wonderful experience. So I think it's kind of the best of all worlds, because we get to fulfill our mission, which is very different from UT's, but yet we get the advantage, as you said, of all of their wonderful libraries and other benefits. I think it works. It's a wonderful academic, educational, intellectual city to be in.
Yes, it is.
That Austin itself
Austin
is.
itself.
Well, we just briefly touched on the religious atmosphere at the colleges and the university. Would you be more specific what students are expected or may expect from the religious aspect of the schools? And we'll go back to the academic afterwards.
Well, I would jump in by saying our mission is rooted in teaching. And we teach for the purpose of preparing persons for careers, for work, for admission to graduate and professional school, and for a life of service and responsible citizenship. So our curriculum includes, for example, in the beginning this fall, a new general studies program based around 60 core hours. Among the courses in this core is a course in African American studies, a course in comparative religion, a course in world civilization and culture, a course in personal health and fitness, a course in introduction to the arts, course in contemporary social issues, and we think all of these complement the preparation of students in a church-related environment to live a life of responsible involvement in the broader community.
But you also have a chapel.
Certainly we have a
on
voluntary campus service, a worship service every Wednesday at 11 o'clock. We have several religious groups that meet during the week. We will kick off our religious
When you
life.
say religious group, are they student?
Students, absolutely,
groups?
students, primarily students. Some faculty and staff and community persons may participate, but a group known as BASIC, Brothers and Sisters in Christ, gathers for Bible study each, I think, Wednesday evening. We have a gospel choir which begins each of its rehearsals with a period of celebration and fellowship. We have various other groups of students that gather around Bible study, reflection, and social involvement.
And at
Yes,
Concordia?
we have daily chapel at 11 o'clock every day. This is primarily led by faculty and by staff. And then in the evening at 9 o'clock, the students have their student-led chapel services. So there's plenty of opportunity, and these are voluntary. Several groups on campus, a couple of singing outreach groups. There's one group called Living Praise, which is an audition type group, and they travel around and go to different churches and different places to sing and to spread PR for the college. We have a small group of male singers. The Beatitudes are getting quite well known. We even have a faculty group, which I'm privileged to sing in, called the Oak Wilt Boys.
Oh.
Could we
what's
hear
the
them
name of this
sing?
faculty group?
The Oak Wilt Boys, kind of a strange name, but then there's-
Actually, I think I understand, which scares me.
But then there's other groups on campus, faculty Bible study groups, student Bible study groups, or dorm devotions, that kind of thing.
And at St. Ed's
We have
Chapel?
Mass every day at noon, and of course Sunday services in the morning, and in the evening is the service that most of the students go to. And we have Pax Christi, hunger awareness, all kinds of social outreach groups that really come out of the campus ministry. We have a strong campus ministry staff. And of course we have the example of the brothers who founded the school, many of whom are still not the same ones, who are still on campus, and the sisters of several orders. And I think in our curriculum also, and we talked about this earlier before the show, we have designed a new general ed curriculum.
Well, let's talk about that when we come back
Okay.
from the break, because I do want to talk about
Okay.
how it's integrated into the curriculum more clearly, and what other things academically students may find at these colleges and universities. Be right back.
Serving Austin means serving you. That has always been the primary goal of Austin Metropolitan Ministries. We are religion in action through the work of these organizations. Each plays a key role in making the capital city a better place to live, but we can't do it alone. Do you have some spare time, talents, or any resources that you can share? If you do, please call AMM at 472-7627, because serving Austin means serving you.
I'm Valerie Bridgman Davis. We're here at Austin Faith Dialogue talking with members from local religiously affiliated colleges and universities. Welcome back, Lawrence and Meisner and Marcia Kinsey and Dr. Joseph McMillan from Houston-Tillotson. We were talking before the break about the religious atmosphere on campus and it being open for everyone, whatever their religious beliefs are, and a free environment to think in and to grow. And so I want to kind of turn toward the thinking part of this religious experience, because a friend of mine once said that the scriptures say love with your whole mind, and sometimes we forget that part. So you started before the break, Marcia, to talk about the curriculum that includes the kind of religious base.
Right. Our general ed curriculum is 57 hours And it starts with freshman studies, which every traditional age student will take, which is an introduction to the humanities, to values, analysis.
When you say traditional age student, what did you mean?
A student who comes in right after high school.
Okay.
So this is required if you are coming straight from high school to St. Ed's. If not, you have an option. You could take something else. This course is linked with our freshman English course. And this is the beginning of, these are the options, looking at the student as a person. What are your values? Who are you? What does it mean to be your true self? And how do you make decisions in the world? And what about the world community that you're a part of? All of these things in freshman studies. Then throughout the whole curriculum, they will take ethics is required. They can take an ethics course that is general, or they can take one that is really related to their major. They will take,
For instance,
business ethics. For instance, we have a good teacher for communication ethics, medical ethics, human services. We have several choices. Public policy, ethics and public policy. They also are required to take either another course in philosophy or a religious studies course. And this could be anything. We have quite a variety. And then they will, in their major, they will also, we hope, be working on these same issues, you know, talking about values clarification within all of these courses. Other courses. Plus they will take a literature course which looks at diverse groups and their literature. They will take an art course, understanding and appreciating the arts, which lets them do something in general, but also look at they will meet and look at a historic perspective of art in general, but then break into small groups and look specifically at the one they have chosen, for instance, film, or it might be the fine arts, or it might be theater.
That sounds interesting. I mean,
Yes.
just thinking of a student in a holistic way as opposed to a business major or a communications
Let me
major.
mention just one thing, because I'll be in big trouble if I
If you don't.
And that is the culmination of all of this is our capstone course, in which each student chooses a topic which is a problem in society that he or she wants to deal with, does research, does all the background research, and tries to propose a solution, then goes to interview experts who would know about this, saying, how does my solution, would this work? Would this meet the values of all the different constituencies? So this is their big paper, the one they all look forward to so much.
Why do I think you said that sort of tongue-in-cheek? Dr. Meisner, what about Concordia? How is it?
We have a core curriculum, too, of about 60 hours, I think. Don't hold me to that number, but it's right at about that. 12 of those hours are in theology. They have to take a course in the Old Testament, one in New Testament, and then there's a multitude of electives they can choose from in that. They can take courses in major prophets, they can take courses in ethics, comparative religions, that sort of thing. And then the other distribution requirements, too, are probably very similar to yours, about 12 hours in English, 3 hours of speech, 7 hours of natural science. And we also have an orientation course, which all first-time freshmen must take. And this just gets them oriented into college life. What is a credit hour and those kinds of basic things, but also helps them to deal with some of the personal and social problems that they're going to face being away from home for the first time, kind of get them into this newfound freedom and independence that they have. And we have a real active center called the Care Center, and there is a person there virtually all the time where students can come in. If they have counseling needs, we have people on campus then that can deal with them as well. In some cases, we refer them off campus to other professionals, but it's a active program that tries to keep them from dropping out and from falling out, and try to assure their success.
Do you stay with them through their 4 years through this care center?
Yes, we're most intensely involved in their freshman year, and then our active input is going to be more minimal as we go along, but it's always there for them so they can initiate coming in and getting tutoring or counseling or whatever. So.
Our new curriculum is very similar. It's built around a core of 60 hours. We've given it the title New Beginnings because we see it signaling a new beginning in the life of each student. And the freshman orientation course is called New Beginnings.
Good.
It concentrates on each of those items as well as a required community service component. And the other courses in the core, many very similar to each of yours, each of the institutions, includes a comparative religion course which is required of all students. And then several electives are available throughout the curriculum. We are developing a minor in religious studies, and perhaps at some point we'll move it to a major. We've just received a grant to concentrate on preparing women leaders for the church, funded by the United Methodist Church's Board of Global Ministries. And I've just received a grant from the United Church of Christ, our other partner, affiliate, member, founder, to address faith in the 21st century. So we are not only doing academic programs, but outreach programs and elective opportunities to complement that. Throughout our curriculum, there was an emphasis on mastery of 9 core competencies: critical thinking, historical awareness, appreciation of the arts and culture, and other issues of that type that undergird the entire curriculum.
You know, I'm learning so much about all these schools. This is so exciting for me, but if I don't ask this question, I'll get hit. The big thing for people when they look at a private university or college versus a public university is cost. And people will say, why is it that I pay X amount of money to go to St. Ed's or to go to Houston-Tillotson and not have a wrestling team?
Don't forget the hot tub.
Or a hot tub. And
We do have a hot tub.
oh, okay. Oh, that's a plus.
Just hadn't seen it.
But not have football or whatever, which I can have at the university. I think we really do need to address cost, why the cost is as it is, and what the universities do to help students. Anybody, just jump in here.
Well, that is certainly a problem which we understand, and we try to, and of course St. Edward's doesn't have the endowment that we need to have. We hope to, we're working on that. We're going to start a capital campaign, and that will enable us to help students even more. But we pump as much money as we possibly can into financial aid, and we connect the students with all the federal programs that we can that will still help. But of course, we don't have the advantages of, we don't have the financial backing that UT has. So, you know, we have to charge this. Now, what our students tell us, so many, and when I do these exit interviews, it makes me feel wonderful to hear this, because we do know it's a burden, and when many of these students leave St. Edward's, they're going to have debts to pay. But they say, I would have never graduated if I had not come to St. Ed's. You know, I was in a big school and I wasn't getting anywhere and I hadn't found my niche, and I came to St. Ed's and people cared about me and I found the major that I really wanted, and if they had not come to St. Ed's, they feel they wouldn't have graduated, many of them. So.
The state of Texas has made a significant investment in independent colleges by establishing the tuition equalization grant.
Yeah.
And it's designed to try to equalize the differential in the cost between the state-supported colleges and universities, or the community college, and the independent colleges, and it's a significant investment. So I certainly would urge people to continue supporting the tuition equalization grant as we go into the next legislature.
Your political
Texas
action.
but I mean, quality cost.
Yes.
And because taxpayers underwrite so significantly the education of the state universities and colleges, which is certainly correct because we have a quality state system, and I'm very proud of the University of Texas and all of its programs and campuses. But the independent college offers something very special, and you have to pay for that. I mean, our institutions are still significantly cheaper than the Harvards and the Stanfords, in my case, than Morehouse or Spelman, or all of us in Rice, and you have to pay for that. And but it's an investment, because the likelihood of graduation, the small caring community, and those kinds of things that I think we do justify, more than justify, the costs that must be prepared in order to pay faculty, to increase our facilities, to make our programs as competitive as those that prepare students at the university and other institutions that have state aid.
Well, it is hard to put a dollar
And then the scholarship
amount.
program, of course, make the difference.
Yes. To put a dollar amount on education. I went to private universities all my college, and I wouldn't trade in the small environment for a good football game. I mean, I don't mean that.
Well, we
so
play
I'm getting
basketball
used
now.
to
We
it.
play volleyball, and we play all sorts of intramurals.
You can come see a good football practice on our campus right now.
So I hear. Well, we haven't talked about a lot of the general thing. I mean, more specific things like New College at St. Ed's for students who are older than coming out of high school, or the migrant student program, and then certainly there are other programs to be talked about, but we're out of time.
Oh, no.
So, and since that is true, I'm sure there'll come a time when we'll have you back and you can talk specifically about those programs. But I'm really glad you were here to talk about this part, because I think people in the Austin area needs to know that you're here. It's been an informative time for us, and we've learned of the opportunities provided to students through these schools, and I'd like to thank you for being here today on behalf of Austin Faith Dialogue. Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you.